In the many years that I've served home buyers, there are 3 common mistakes that I see them make over and over again. The 3 mistakes are: number 1, I should complete the sale of my old home and the purchase of my new home back to back. Number 2, if I buy a cheap property, I can sell it later at massive profits. And number 3, I can only get a bank loan using my income. While all these seem very logical, why are they mistakes? Let us explore. This mistake has cost many home buyers a lot of money. Buyers usually plan their timings such that once they get the keys to their new home, they can start to move out of their old place. However, what's often overlooked is the time taken for the money from the sale of their old property to pay for the new one. While the cash from the sale proceeds may be able to be deposited into their bank accounts within the same day, their CPF monies need more than 1 to 2 days to process. In fact, it can take weeks. Therefore, there are homeowners who are forced to delay their purchase completion dates due to the lack of CPF. So in the end, they lost money paying the penalties. Let's look at the story of Maureen and Darren to illustrate this point. Back in 2014, Maureen and Darren were looking for a home near Queenstown MRT station and were comparing 2 condos with the same accessibility to food, the supermarket and transport. However, one condo, Commonwealth Towers, was selling around 1,600 per square foot, while the other, Queens, was selling at around 1,300 per square foot. Darren, believing that if he buys a cheap property, he can sell for more profit in the future, bought the unit at Queens. Maureen, on the other hand, bought Commonwealth Towers at the higher price. 4 years later, both parties wanted to sell their property for gains. Maureen managed to sell her property around 1,900 per square feet, making $300 per square feet gains. Darren, however, didn't manage to sell his property as he did not make any gains at all after 4 years. So this goes to show, buying cheap now does not necessarily mean you get the most profit later. Even within the same location, there are other factors to consider in order to make the most profit. Many private home buyers think that to get a good mortgage loan, they can only depend on their income. That is only one way. What they did not realize is that if they have excess cash after paying the deposit for their house, they can actually use it to get more loan from the banks. One way is called to pledge. Simply put, the banks can finance your property purchase based on the fixed deposit amount put with the bank for 4 years. For example, say you have additional 250,000 cash after paying the down payment on the property, and you are eligible to borrow up to 30 years on the mortgage loan. Then it is possible that the banks can lend up to 600,000 based on that fixed deposit. Another method is to unpledge, or what the layman call show funds. What this means is that if you can show the banks that you have money in your savings account, then the bank can lend you based on that amount. What's interesting about this method is that there is no restriction on how you use those same funds after the mortgage loan is disbursed. For example, using the same 250,000 scenario earlier, if you can show this amount in your bank account, the banks can lend you up to 196,000. Now, you can take a mortgage loan with a combination of income, pledging and unpledging. The benefit of pledging and unpledging is that you can take a loan above your TDSR limit. Therefore, in order to avoid all these mistakes, it is important to engage a good advisor to help you with the planning process.